You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Hello and welcome back to the Integration Station, you beautiful souls. Oh my gosh, I got a wonderful guest in the coming on today. She's just in the back right now. I am a little bit scattered myself. We've had like a busy, really busy, like everything lately, but specifically this morning we had to find parking and all that kind of stuff. And I've got quite a bit of background noise, so I'm mainly just going to bring Lisa on to share how it is that she's gone through her own journey. And then on the second half, after our sponsors, we're going to share how she's doing her own integration work, the work that she's doing now. I'm sure it's all going to blend in, but what's really cool about this girl is she really, she's been on this journey for a while. She's not only been working with the medicines herself, but she's also doing that integration work and moving from the me to the we, which is so beautiful. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Lisa Precious on right now. And there we are. Hi, Lisa. Lisa's coming in from the UK, everyone. So please share about Smiley Blue, share about you.
Okay, so I'll go back to the beginning. I, as a small child, always felt very close to the divine. And I remember being, as a little, so enchanted by the forests and mushrooms and all these things. And then, of course, you get to a younger age and you go into the school system. And slowly but surely, that magic was sort of stamped out of me. So growing up, I found very, very hard, very difficult. I had good parents in that they provided for my needs, but not so much my emotional needs. And I don't feel any anger or anything towards them or anything like that. But I did go through a lot of narcissistic abuse. And I think a lot of us that have come to these sort of higher levels of consciousness, if you like, we've had quite difficult backgrounds, or that's what I have found. So my first sort of 15, 20 years of life, I found extremely difficult. It was as though I'd been brought purposely into a family that had desires for me to be something like a lawyer or a doctor. And if I didn't fall into that category, then I was a huge disappointment and a letdown to the family. So I was one of these girls at school that was sort of swinging on the chair at the back thinking, what do I need to know this for? This isn't serving me and my growth. I was very creative and I felt I was being crushed into a box that I didn't fit. And then that sort of led to my parents making it very clear that you are a disappointment, a letdown, and not capable. And that became a belief system for me right the way through life, up and into my 40s, actually. So I grew up with zero self-esteem and self-worth. And from being sort of 13 years old, I started getting into alcohol, mixing with the wrong people, and just basically being a party animal. And I really feel that I see this a lot with the conscious people because we don't fit into the world, and because we are not able to align as children with our true core natures, we can very easily have to turn to other things because it's our escape. So in order to escape the world, I suppose, I started drinking alcohol and falling in with the wrong people. And alcohol was a way of sort of just being able to show up in the world at that time and feel some confidence. And then my mother had a late baby, and there was 4 daughters all in all. I was sort of the middle child, and my mum had a late baby, and after that she was never the same woman again. She just turned quite abusive, and I was very much the scapegoat child, and I found it incredibly hard, and I ended up with the wrong relationship, a violent relationship, and found myself pregnant at 18 and just going off the rails, really. And then finally I went and left home eventually, and sort of gave up on, guys, and found some calm in my life, and met my husband, who has been an absolute godsend and been a very patient man. And, I've gone on to have 2 wonderful children, and it's still up until only probably maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, where in midlife really, where the sort of the self-worth and the self-esteem has finally landed and dropped in for me. And so Smiley Blue came as an idea because back as a child we went to South Africa, and my father used to do business in South Africa, and we visited that country a couple of times and spent time there. And I was about 9 years old, and then 11. And in that time when I was there, I remember thinking what an amazing, beautiful country South Africa was, with the sea and the sunset. And one thing I knew in my core was seeing segregation at that young age in that country. It's as though other people accepted it, it was okay, but I knew as a child that this is not okay. This is really, I'm not liking what I'm seeing. And then the whole idea for Smiley Blue came to me a couple of years ago, because I thought about South Africa. And when I was over there, there was this amazing trendy fashion shop called Smiley Blue in Durban. And it had this huge neon sign, Smiley Blue, on the wall. And I remember seeing it I must have been 10 or 11, and thinking, oh, wow. And it imprinted on my mind, this huge neon Smiley Blue sign. And then I know you're aligned with me because I've seen your posts, Ashley. When we've gone through the last few years, we were starting to see segregation, who's had the thing and who hasn't. And I couldn't believe that in 2021 that the world sort of was falling into this trap again. And I was sort of trying to look at this from a higher perspective, and I remember sort of feeling like I'd woken up in another world and thinking everybody else had too, but realized they hadn't. And that was just incredibly hard. So yeah, I kind of remember thinking, oh my goodness, I'm not aligned with this. This is sort of BS. And then realizing very quickly, like, oh my goodness, everybody else is. And it was a really difficult and isolating time. And I came to the sort of realization that, it was almost like having to work through the narcissistic abuse yet again. And that feeling of being outcast, I was isolated. I've been through that. I just got over that with my family. And now here we are again, and you're going to see yourself as outcast in society, and that people are actually okay with that. And so I sort of, in my mind, took it all the way, because I went through a bit of a dark night of the soul, shall we say. And I was living at the time in a town it's 450 miles away from where I live now. And I was surrounded by, you know, everybody in their things, and in the fear and reporting each other to the police and all this. And I remember feeling that I can't live here anymore. I need to be in the countryside. And I started to look at moving. I said to my husband, you have to trust God's calling me. And I said, and we are to move. And it was divine prudence, if you like, because we sold up our home. I dissolved my business, which we weren't allowed to work anyway, but I had a beauty business, and we just dropped everything, and we sold our house, and we moved up into the Scottish Highlands a couple of years ago. And it's an incredibly beautiful place. I'm surrounded by nature and Mother Earth here. And the foraging for mushrooms, by the way, is just absolutely off the scale. It's amazing. I've been today. So it wasn't an easy move to make, because there was so much of leaving my old self behind, sort of having to realizing that the people I thought were friends were still sort of friends, but they weren't seeing things on the level that I was seeing things. They were bought into it all and I just wasn't. And it broke my heart watching people sort of comply to this fear narrative. And then we moved up to Scotland, and again, I got here. We were living in this little stone cottage in the middle of nowhere. It was absolutely freezing winter. I didn't know anybody. And again, it was another sort of dark night of the soul. I'm in the wilderness. My children, who are growing up now, but they hadn't moved up with us at the time, and they were going through a difficult patch as well. It was a very, very difficult time. And then the summertime arrived in Scotland, the sun came out, and I just fell in love with it here. And I realized that we have done the right thing. We've actually sort of been planted in the dark, if you like, in order to grow. And while I was in that sort of wilderness time, stuck in a little cold cottage in the middle of Scotland, the whole idea for Smiley Blue came to me, and I realized that there's no walking back now. This is, the old life has gone, and believe it or not, you know, even friends of sort of 40 years have left. Those relationships have gone. It's all been part of the growth. The sort of this rising in consciousness, I understand, is we're rising up in our frequency, and those on the sort of lower frequencies just fall away from us. And it's literally everything's been stripped away to build the new. And I knew I had to start Smiley Blue. It was a divine calling. And then I didn't know where to begin, albeit I have to begin. And I found this is the new way of doing things. It's very much lamp in hand, and you better trust the path, as opposed to the old way is you have a business idea, right? It's focus, clear vision. What's your sales, what's your figures? And that was what I was used to. But this was kind of, no, you're not there anymore. This is very, very different. And so I was a little bit stuck. And my son said to me, he said, Mum, why don't you start writing? And I thought, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a writer. And he's like, well, you are now. So start. And I began writing. And I'd already been channeling things since 2015. What's that, about 8 years ago? And I had a book. I'd written, I had this little black book, and I'd been writing stuff down. And I put it away and a long time ago, and I decided to dig it out. And when I opened it, I was amazed at the things I'd been writing in 2015 that I don't know where that information had come from, that my higher self, but it hadn't landed with me then. But I read it 8 years on, and it was like, this is what I am now. I'm seeing who I am. I channeled the higher self then, but now that's me when I'm reading it 8 years on. It landed with me. So I started on the Medium platform, started writing, everything just sort of came out. And ever since then, it's just, the path is just opening up as I go along it. And it's so beautiful because the past has always been, or that sort of 3D world has always been, oh, it's stressful. It's just anxiety inducing, stressful. It's always sort of go, go, go. And this has just been, that's okay. You just go joyfully along your path and it's enjoyable. And whenever I sort of try to take control of it, the path slows down. But when I sort of just come from the heart, just keep giving your gifts, the path naturally just opens up. And I just know that I am not a not to quit. I have to keep going. And now I look back at the journey, it takes me right back to being a child, and that big smiley blue neon light on the wall that imprinted on me as a little girl, and seeing the segregation as a little girl and seeing the blue of the ocean, I realized was sort of, that path was opening up to me back then as a child. That was what was going to be the future. So I can see that now, and it's just so incredibly amazing. And then during that period where, you know, everybody's faces were covered, again, I just thought, oh wow, Smiley Blue's come to me now because this is what we need. We've had years of people not showing their faces and covering their faces, and it's time that we had some upliftment and we smiled again. But there's sort of two sides to Smiley Blue, because I also write about narcissistic abuse and overcoming our trauma and our healing journeys as well. And I see that sometimes we're very quick in society to suppress what needs to come out, and it's all got to be love and light, spirituality, positivity, which I feel is sometimes spiritually bypassing what needs to come up and out. And if we just suppress everything and never look at it, then at some point we've got to move those inner waters, and there's got to be an outpouring. And Smiley Blue ultimately is about positivity and joy, but first we've got to look at the uncomfortable stuff. And it's only when we face it and allow ourselves to have that outpouring can we clear that and reach this place of wholeness of being. And when we can reach this wholeness of being, then we can now help others to come to the same place. And so I had I've done a few plant medicine trips actually, but I did one that was incredibly profound. And it was just the most incredibly divine experience. And I was shown the future for humanity. And people can, you know, I understand people will go, well, that's what you believe. But for me, it's an absolute certainty that there are so many of us now that are so consciously aware and can see this better way ahead, that I know we're going to do it. And I just feel there's no way on earth that we've been put here for this divine purpose right here, right now. And the amazing thing about it is that God, the divine, aligns us with all the right people on the same frequency that get it. And I said just before we came on at the beginning, the way I see the future of business is from a whole new different mindset of raising each other upwards. And for too long, we've been coming from this place of take, greed, consumerism, what's in it for me? And I feel that now we're in a time of simplifying our lives down, and we have to give back to Mother Earth. And it's just going to be such an amazing future. That's how it feels to me now. And that we're being aligned all around the world with the right people who hold that same vision. And we, interestingly, all seem to hold that vision as well. And it's very much, there's almost like we see each other's light. And there's that kind of old way of being a bit suspicious of people has left. You just see the light and we align and see the same way forward. But the plant medicine, showed me an incredible future for humanity. That's where we will be given free energy, and we will be going back to more simple ways. But also we've got the new technologies as well that we can use side by side. And it's as though the pendulum's gone too far that way, and it's going to smack and it's going to come right back. And I think we know things have gone too far, and we have to take care of our beautiful earth and each other, and form our communities now. And that's what's going to see us through this time. So how it's going to look for a while on the earth plane, I'm not so sure, because what I was shown was that the earth is rotten. There's very little godlight left. And then it literally just went vroom, it goes. And I believe this is written in the scriptures as well. So what I saw aligns with the scriptures. And then it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And, the new will come in. And I see that we're sort of upgrading ourselves all the time. I can feel it happening, that sort of rise in consciousness. We've come up and we're able to look at things now from more of a 360-degree view. Yeah. And, I understand it all, because I used to be one of those people caught up in judgment as well. I used to be that person. So I understand the lower consciousness sort of mindset as well, because I used to be there. I used to be caught up in politics, us and them. I'm right, you're wrong. But I know better now. There's a higher way, a higher mind, a higher way of doing things, and surpassing judgment. So it's, we're in such amazing, special times.
I'm curious, Lisa, for anybody out there who is a dreamer and trying to tap into that intuition, how did you trust it to start taking these actions?
Trusting intuition.
Yeah, because not only did you trust it, but you actually took physical action. Yeah,
I took the action. Yeah, I trust that the divine will send in the right people, the right information. And when we were sort of in that lockdown period, it was like, for me, I felt like a caged animal. And I started to long to feel the sand between my toes. I thought, I'm never going to feel, I'll never take for granted the sand between my toes again. I craved to be running through fields. And I just started looking at land and property. And what I was seeing in Scotland, I just remember thinking, wow, I just feel that that's where I have to be. And we came up here, and it was about a 10-hour drive to come and look at some land. And the more closer I got as we were driving up the road, I just remember feeling this sense of calm coming over me, a sense of peace, seeing a big rainbow in the sky, and feeling like this is the right thing. This is feeling so right. And I had to just trust what I was feeling intuitively, and go with it. And it initially, yes, it's been a difficult path. It's very difficult to say goodbye to everything, the life that you've built up for so many years, and friends and business, but and so many people wanting to hold me back, because that's they wanted the old me, that version of me that they liked. And but no, I went with it. And I remember feeling that it was kind of like, it was a bit of a lesson, really, after seeing what had happened to society. I very much picked up on the energies that were around me, and my current environment was suffocating me, literally, because I could pick up on it. It's watching your neighbours sort of not answer the door but open the windows with a mask on to the postman and things. I was thinking, what? So I just, it's I believe we sometimes outgrow areas as well where we live, and I was picking up on that energy of the area, and I just knew I needed to be where I am. And I don't know, it's divine intervention, I guess. But we put the house on the market, and the house sold within hours. And so therefore I sort of went to my husband and went, oh my goodness, it's happening. We've sold the house. And it was as though, when sometimes you think you want something, and it's as though the divine's intervening, keeps throwing stuff at you, as though to go, come on, you're off path, get back on your path. Well, with this, it was as though you're not going to be given any time to think about it. And before we knew we were here and we'd done it. That's how it went. It was quick, you're here. Now you can think about it once you're here, and do your crying or whatever you need to do, and move on. So yeah, it's been quite a road and a journey. But if I hadn't have done it, I would have stayed with with what I know, with my old business, and I would never have come to the realization to start with my divine path now and what I need to bring to the earth in this time. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to just share our sponsors now, and I invite everybody listening, do an audit of yourself. Is there anything coming through to you intuitively right now? Is there something you feel like you need to do and just not taking the action? Take this moment as we're sharing our sponsors and ask yourself those questions. We'll see you right back here.
All right. Yeah.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Let's share Pace everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Hello and welcome back to the Integration Station. I'm going to bring Lisa back on now. Hi, Lisa. Welcome back. Please let us know some more about Smiley Blue, and let us know, how can other people get involved? Also, just a deeper dive into what it is, what you've been creating, this community, all of it, please.
So, yeah, sure. We're looking to work with and align with other conscious businesses that align with our message. And that is that we want to help other businesses up, and it all works reciprocally, and so there's no other requirements other than an absolute passion to drive forwards and upwards in an upwards direction consciously. And we want to work with conscious businesses, so we're more than happy to onboard writers or conscious businesses, and we will do a piece for them and put their links on there, and they can reciprocate and put the article we've done onto their page. And it's just all about that we all support one another, we all align with the message. And with that, there is it's free to sign up, or there are membership options as well. The way we want to move forward is, if you sort of have the membership option, then you can align with all these other conscious entrepreneurs as well. But you don't have to be an entrepreneur or a business. You can just be somebody that wants to grow and level up, who's curious. So I often talk about what I call the eagle mindset. And it's that we're sort of rising up and into this higher consciousness. And I'm more than happy to help fledglings upwards that want to come up, but I'm never going to lower my standards or my personal standards down. So it's all about raising each other in an upwards direction.
I love that. It's like, once we start doing this work, we realize it's okay, have your door open to anybody, but maybe install some stairs so people have to step up a little bit to get into the big stuff, and I love that you've got these options available, and also that in your own personal life, you're, using that method too.
Yeah, well, we want to help other conscious businesses too. So as though it's free to sign up, there is a membership option, and through the membership, we want to go on to support and build and help other conscious businesses, or create, a project, do something through our organization. So that's the bigger goal. And, I do purification meditations as well, which I do put behind the paywall. It's very affordable to sign up to the membership option as well. So it's less than a chocolate bar per month, but that's that sort of by way of like, how willing are you to sort of grow? And I wanted to bring something that would be available to absolutely everybody. Because initially I felt that, okay, I'll bring my spiritual gifts. But I very quickly noticed in the arena, there was a lot of coaches, coaching, and programming. And I wasn't really aligned with, I want to bring something that's available to everybody. So if there's a little fledgling down there that's really hasn't got anything and can't afford private coaching and what have you, it's like, hey, look, you can come, you can sign up for free and literally for the price of a chocolate bar. If you're willing to give up a chocolate bar, you can do the purifications and the meditations as well to bring you into alignment with love and nature's frequency. So they're all very divinely guided and then recorded and uploaded onto the site. So we're still very early days, Ashley. The publication's really just sort of coming together. We've launched now. We're getting subscribers coming in. And the whole thing now is just shining light and bringing and giving, the gifts. That's the path, and following the path, and getting out of the way of myself, which, and just following the light. And that's what I do. I ask God to draw close to me, whatever you call God. We've all got different words, but I always ask God to draw close to me and bring me, what it is I need to bring forth. And that's how it works.
Thank you. Would you have any advice for anybody out there who's, doing the integration work, finding their ways of expression? Like, what would be advice, since you've gone through a lot of these things, for any of our listeners today?
Yeah. One little saying that has always stuck with me, and it was, somebody said this to me when I was about 15 years old, and she said to me, a winner never quits and a quitter never wins. And that has stayed with me all my life, but it really lands with me now. So if there's something you feel in here that you really have a burning desire to do, then know that, line up with it, know you're worthy of it, and start moving towards it. You're not going to get where you want to get sat on the sofa dreaming your vision. You have to have the vision, but you've also got to take action towards it. And I think so many people get to a certain age and think, oh, I never did find my purpose. And I want to say, well, I'll bet you had opportunities came your way that landed in your path, but you chose the safe route, the comfortable route, and decided to stay put because that was the easy thing to do. And I've realized that actually moving into the discomfort zone is where the true growth is, because we're all taught to stay safe and comfortable all the time. And it's actually, we grow in the dark and in the discomfort. That's, and the biggest life lesson really is watching so many people behave in a certain way the last few years just because they followed the herd and they wanted their old life back. For me, it was about standing in my core values, and core values is such a huge thing. I know you put on your posts, sometimes you put about narcissistic abuse in your hashtag, so I don't know what your backstory is. However, what really that was showing me all those years was to stand in my core values. And by doing that, and eventually I did do that, and the fear was that I was going to lose my family. And I did. I was ousted out. They didn't like this girl that was now saying enough and this is who I am. But that's what I did. And yes, it was painful, but I'm so glad I did it, because I think, well, look at me now. I'm like the divine, feeling so whole and connected to the divine. So stand in your core values is one. A winner never quits, and a quitter never wins. So whatever that goal, whatever that vision is, line up with it, know you're worthy of it, and keep moving forwards. Even if it's one little step a day, it's a step further towards that thing. And it doesn't have to be a race to get there. This is how it is now in the new earth. It's joyful. It's, just do. And, the right people start to come in, and you're not going to be for everybody. I've had sort of the odd writer that goes, oh, what's in it for me? And I kind of think, that's okay. That's not what we're about. We've gone a bit, a bit further than that now. We're about supporting one another in our upwards journey, and it's just so beautiful. It's so exciting. So, yeah.
I love that as you were like tapping more into your intuition, taking action in these ways, it's like at the same time you're able to find more of that joy and add it into your life. Is there a lot of the time there's like that disconnect between like, oh, environment, I want my like outward world to be like so different, and then there's like a big dissonance between where they're actually at. But what you're presenting here is like, just take action. You feel it, like go act. And how would you recommend anybody like get over the fear? Do you have steps for that? Is there any recommendation that you would have? We got the stay persistent part. What about the overcoming fear part?
Well, fear is very low vibration, isn't it? And then I feel that when we do feel that sort of fear that can sometimes come in, can't it? And we sort of feel it in here. Now I'm become aware of when that sort of comes in. For instance, I've got a legal matter that's going on at the moment. Whenever a solicitor's sort of letter comes in, it's like, ooh, I don't like this, I want it gone. And then I kind of become aware of the thought, and I'm going, no, we're going to face this. We're going to face this. And now it's more about, no, run towards that which you fear, run towards that discomfort, because, once you do that, it's never as bad as you thought it was going to be. My husband took me on a via ferrata in Italy. I don't know if you know what they are, but very high up at altitude. I don't particularly I like conscious heights, but I don't particularly like the physical heights. And we did that last year. And I remember being like 3,000 feet up. I was rock climbing. We didn't have anybody with us. So we were just together, my husband and I, sort of freestyling it. And I remember getting to the top, and he was behind me, and I was at this bit, and I froze in absolute fear. And I remember I was gripped, and I can't move, and I can't go down, but I can't see what's about over this rock now. Am I going to fall off the other side? What's going to happen? And I was clipped on, but if you were to have fallen, you would be quite hurt. And I remember thinking, well, I can't go back. And I have no option because I can't live on the side of this mountain. So I've got to move. And I only had a couple more steps to go. And I got to the top, and there was a bar. It was a bar at the top and a cafe. And I was like, oh my God, I thought I was literally going to fall off the other side. I didn't know what to expect. And I realized then it's like you could be at just that far off from making it, but you quit. And it was all there. And it was a lesson. It was a real lesson. And I hated to admit it to my husband because I was shaking and trembling when I got to the top. And he bought me a beer. And it was like, oh, I need this. But I said, I have to admit it. And I got to be honest. I said, I actually kind of secretly enjoyed that because I pushed through and I did it. And, I said, I would do it again now. I would do that again. And, I realized we have to run towards the things that we fear rather than run away from them, because there's always growth. There's always growth to be had.
Thank you. That's so important. Okay. For anybody who is out there right now, they're doing like the integration work, they want to come together, like support your community or participate in any way, what would be those action steps for making that happen?
So with regards to Smiley Blue, or just with regards to?
Yeah, with regards to both, actually, for you personally or Smiley Blue too.
So personally, on a personal level, my biggest advice with anybody is to recognize that you will never be blocked from your light. No matter what's going on in your life, people are always being shown a mirror. And, you know, we can very easily fall into the victim mindset when we're going through narcissistic abuse. It's, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to minimize it, because we are victims, you know, but it's very easy to fall into this sort of poor me mindset. We're kind of taught that way, to be all cozy and soft. And actually, you know, I've really sort of discovered that spirituality isn't about being a lovely, sweet person all the time. Sometimes we have to be a little bit badass. Sometimes we've got to put our very firm line down. And this is where people get confused. It's, oh, but I'm spiritual. It's all love and light. It's all positivity. No, actually, no. It's finding your power and going, whoa, actually, that's my line, and you're crossing it. And if somebody truly loves and respects you, even if to them your line seems ridiculous and petty or whatever, it's your line. And if you love and respect me, you'll respect my line. And that was my biggest thing that landed with me when I was going through sort of my process and healing process. A lovely, kind old lady. So it never occurred to me to put down boundaries. What? And then it landed, and it was like, yeah, you know, put down your line. Don't be afraid to sometimes show your teeth. Show them. And actually, it's amazing how quick, you know, people will suddenly fall into line. But it's always the one thing people don't want to do. It makes them uncomfortable because, oh, I don't want to upset anybody. Well, ruffle some feathers, you know, and don't be afraid to do it, because you'll be respected far more. They might leave you, but so what? You know, once that space has been made, then something new can come in. So, you know, it was really kind of, don't be afraid of letting things go that need to go, you know, because we hold on to it and we have attachments to things, and we have to learn to detach and really work on ourselves first and foremost. Do the work. Yeah.
Detach from the drama, but like re-find ourselves at the same time, right?
Yeah,
I really look forward to having you back in the future, and we can talk like all about narcissism in general and like just the dark psychology of stuff, because you're so like on it. You know, I studied the positive psychology first. That's what everybody was pushing. That's how you want to be, is happy. But you know what? Then I started feeling like, what's wrong with me? How come I can't hold that? It's because I wasn't doing the emotional colonic it took to fill that space with positivity. Instead, you know, all the positivity that I was learning was just sticking to all the negative stuff that was already there from childhood. You know, it really is a process of letting go and filling that space up, because we carry so much, you know. And how are we supposed to get the messages? How are we supposed to trust ourselves, you know, if we're that full? So yeah, thank you so much, Lisa, for bringing light to a lot of this. And there's definitely more conversation to be had in this space too.
Oh, definitely. And what's been wonderful really is, it's like when I said at the beginning that as a child I felt connected to the divine and the nature, and I used to be absolutely obsessed with the Amanita muscaria mushroom, you know, as a little girl, and I used to see the magic and think, oh, fairies live in there. Now I'm 52, and it's like that magic's come back into my life, and I've allowed that, and connected again with the nature, and it's just amazing. But yeah, you did ask me, like, if people want to integrate with me, then yes, it's www.smileyblue.org. You can sign up for free, or obviously we'd appreciate the membership option, which unlocks the purifications and the healing meditations. But basically, there's a lot of articles on there, and new writers. We're looking for new writers to onboard, or conscious businesses that we would love to feature. Conscious businesses will feature you, and obviously it would be great if you could reciprocate and put the article onto your site or whatever. But it's all about coming up in the upwards direction for everybody that comes our way and that aligns with the message. So thank you.
Collaboration over competition, right?
Yes.
It's us coming together that's going to make a huge difference. So thank you for that. I have one last question, and that's when it comes to writing or creating or anything, for anybody who's like never done that before, what would be some like leave off advice for those people to just do it?
To creative write. So for me, it's always about putting on some very calm music, perhaps going into the forest or something like that, or it generally helps to be in that quiet space, to ask the divine to move close to you. And I have pen and paper, and I'm often given a vision, and I think, oh, what's this? And I just start writing what I'm seeing, and then it all starts to come together and make sense, because I often don't understand initially what I'm seeing, but I start writing it, and then I finish and I think, oh wow, okay, great, that works, that all comes together. And again, you just have to begin. At first, obviously, we can sort of, oh, I can hear that in the background, that's putting me off. But it's like working out in the gym. You have to work out this in the gym too for it to get better. And if you continually do it, you'll get better. So same as you take your body to the gym, take the mind to the gym.
I love that. And so what about when it comes to, so that would be like the whole writing part, but then there's like the understanding and the sharing part. Can you get into a little bit on that?
Understanding and sharing. Well, again, that came to me, I was sort of asking the divine, what do you want me to do with this? And I've just been shown very clearly, all you have to do is so simple, because we all complicate everything, right? Don't we? And it's so simple. Just give your gifts. We are all so beautiful, and we're all so unique. There's no competition, because you're uniquely you and I'm uniquely me. So I'm just going to bring you what the divine wants me to bring. I'm just going to bring you my light and my gifts. And everybody has that in them. I believe that. I believe everybody inherently is good. It's just that we end up having experiences that can make us angry or sad, but inherently we're good. And once we find that light within ourselves, all we have to do is give it and give it out, and everything will come. Your needs will be met. You don't always get what you want, you get what you were needed for your growth. If you ask the divine for strength, you're going to be given circumstances that strengthen you. They might not be pretty, but you asked, so be mindful. If you're going to ask the universe for strength, it might come not in a pretty gift, and accept that as well, because that's part of the fabric of life, isn't it? We sometimes have to go through these experiences, and then it's only when you come out the other side and you think, oh wow, that's why I went through that. Thank you for that lesson. It was pretty horrible at the time, but I see it now. So being in gratitude for every experience, it's just experience. Almost like standing back and watching your life as though you're watching a theatre play, or you have some bad chapters in the book, turn the page, there'll be some good chapters coming soon.
Yeah, I love that so much. Thank you. We've touched on like so many incredible things here, but I love what you're saying is like we're all just a piece of the puzzle. You can't see the whole picture without all the pieces. We can never see ourselves objectively, but we are all mirrors of each other. So it's through the other people that we get to see the whole. it's what you're saying is just amazing. And in so many ways our journeys have been parallel. I'm glad that we finally got this opportunity to connect.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I've been following you on Instagram for some years. I always like your posts, and a lot of what you post is just, I think, yeah. So I felt that, perhaps it was time to reach out. Now I've started the publication, and I just go with it like, oh, if they're aligned with what I'm saying, then they're aligned with it. If they're not, fine, it's okay. So it's just lovely. Yeah.
Well, I'm for one definitely going to be getting more involved. I will have some other conversations outside of here, and I'd love to have you on again too, just to dive into more of the narcissistic abuse and things like that. It's come up a few times here, and it's very important because a lot of people don't even know what that is. And the dark psychology, we could be, part of changing the stigma on that, because it's really important, especially after the things that happened in 2020 and 2021.
Oh, yeah. Agree.
Yeah, because the darkness is there anyway. Like, we may as well, there's always going to be duality. We may as well be equipped to handle both. Enjoy the positive, but also handle the bad.
Yeah. I think, we will talk about the abuse, another time. But it was really important. The healing journey was actually really important to understand the mindset of the narcissist. And it really helped me actually to heal. And, thankfully, a few good people did step out when I was looking for healing at the time. And it was unbelievable. I was realizing, oh, crikey, other people have gone through this exact same thing, almost to the word, some of the experiences and the isolation. And, so I felt like we have to shine a bright spotlight on this and lose the fear, because there was a lot of fear around it, and a lot of fear around speaking out. But at the end of the day, we do have to shine a spotlight on things and break the generational curse. And like I said, I'm actually grateful now for the whole experience. I feel no anger or malice or anything like that. I just think, I recognize that I believe even the narcissists deep down are good. They've just probably learned this behavior and this manipulative behavior, and we just have to do our work and shine the light and come from a place of peace at all times. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time with us, Lisa. All these magic words, and I'm really looking forward to having you back. Everybody who's listening, please check this wonderful woman out at SmileyBlue.org. I'm going to close the show for now. We'll see you back next week. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega, Mohawk.